So we're here wrapping up the last seminar of the series for this year, which was Beyond the Classroom Walls, Developing Your Teaching and Learning Networks. And this time we are joined by Bohrer and Dan LaValley from Do It Academic Technology. And we had 3 different levels of networking that we want to talk about: department level, campus level, and the beyond level. But before we get into that, we had a few overarching keys or basics, principles like we like to talk about, to mention before we talk about some of these networking tools that we introduced during the seminar.
As always, you start with your needs. You start with what your learning goals are. When you're looking for other people to network with or other ideas for your teaching, you need to think about what are your needs. Is it a specific activity you're trying to find more about, or is it an overall approach, a larger challenge, like interactivity in general in the classroom? Mm-hmm. And you want to be able to take ideas from a wide range of fields and adapt them to what your specific situation is. And something that I found to be key as well is when you learn something new or something goes well, share it with other people, share it with your colleagues. No need to corner the market on good ideas.
Mm-hmm. Especially, and that feeds really well into the first kind of level we talked about for a learning network, which is the department level, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure to, whatever you learn, to go back and share with your department, with your immediate colleagues. We talked about the idea of the department file cabinet, which was sort of a metaphor for any resources that are available to you right in your department. So teaching resources, visiting other classes, learning from your colleagues, learning from other lesson plans that your fellow TAs or instructors might have put together. The idea of an electronic lesson share also, where you can compile and draw on other resources and lesson plans that other TAs have put together. And an alternative to that would be Google Docs, right?
Right. We also floated the idea of doing some sort of informal discussion group to cover teaching topics. I give the example of Delta discussions, which is a couple of graduate students in the Delta program had a course where they had great discussions. They wanted to keep doing those, and so they just organized some informal discussions, and they had a lot of instructors show up, mostly their fellow grad students, and they had about 15 to 20 people come to just discuss teaching topics. And something like that could be really useful.
Mm-hmm. Great way to learn from each other. Then we moved on to the campus level, and Dan, you first talked about Engage.
Yeah, there are many programs on campus for folks to get involved with, one of which is Engage, which most people probably know is an awards program that grapples with the teaching and learning challenges that teachers and students are faced with. But beyond just being an awards program, it really focuses on building a community that faculty can interact with other instructors and discuss the various challenges they're facing and solutions they're coming up with. And it's really kind of a critical part of the program that I don't think gets enough exposure. Faculty love it. There's presentations that faculty can attend on the topic. They get chances to interact with each other and the various learning technologists that are involved with the program as well. So it's a team effort. And then last is COMETS, which stands for Community of Educational Technology Support Staff, which instructors might question why they would need to be, or why they might be interested in this group, but just because there's technologists working in this group doesn't mean that we don't highly value instructional staff or faculty involvement. So for example, we had a clickers group, which was attempting to choose one clicker system for use on campus. And while technology staff can make this decision, we didn't want to do it without faculty involvement. So the faculty involvement really took that group to the next level, and I would just like to encourage other faculty or instructors who are out there to consider checking out the COMETS website and checking out the special interest groups and see if there's any special interest group that might pique their interest, because I know that all COMETS members would welcome their involvement.
I think all those groups could benefit from having more and more faculty involvement. And one thing about the Engage program that you were talking about is that they've studied multiple topics in the past, and all the information they've learned is available on their website for best practices and research that they found, and it's a really useful resource.
Yeah, so there's topics as varied as clickers, podcasting. Right now they're doing programs on situated learning and data visualization.
Yeah, and even things that don't necessarily have to be technology-based, like group work. I know
Right.
it was group work with technology, but there are keys for everyone there.
Yep.
And I think the Comets website, too, is a nice reference site for people who are interested in learning more about a specific topic, such as clickers or Learn at UW or another technology. Not only does it have some basic information about that resource, but it also likely has a next person to contact or a group to plug in with to, to go further on that topic.
And another great resource is the TLE site, which you talked about a little bit in the seminar.
Right. Yeah, the TLE site is the Teaching and Learning Excellence website sponsored by the Vice Provost for Teaching and Learning in conjunction with Do It Academic Technology. And that site is a hub, sort of a virtual online hub for conversations about teaching and learning, not specifically regarding technology, but teaching and learning in general. And I find it interesting to hear faculty post, to read their contributions to this site on different topics. But I think it's a good resource to follow, to subscribe to interact with other instructors around a specific topic regarding teaching and learning.
I think sorry to interrupt, I was going to jump right in. That
You go.
the TLE site seems to get a lot more on my radar this time of year with the Teaching and Learning Symposium that's coming up at the end of May. Another great opportunity on campus to see what other teachers are doing, to get ideas to adapt to your situation.
And as we've talked about a lot, teaching with technology goes back to the same good principles of just good teaching in general.
Right.
So all of these are very relevant resources. We then moved on to the beyond level, so beyond the department and beyond the campus level, and started talking about social networking in general. So what are some of the things that you highlighted with that, Jeff?
Well, I use a number of tools in my day to sort of keep track of trends and hot topics in our field, and my time engaging with resources like that is very limited, so I kind of work in this mode of scanning. I watch things come across my screen through a few different tools like Twitter, like LinkedIn, even RSS feeds, which have been around for a decade or so. What's interesting is I think back to my usage patterns, I found that my use of Twitter has supplanted my use of RSS feeds for keeping track of headlines and writings by thought leaders in our field. And I don't know that my time devoted to this activity of information scanning is decreasing or increasing, but the tools I use have shifted. So, for example, LinkedIn wasn't around more than a couple of years ago, and I find that as a sort of a professional social networking site to connect with people in my field or in related fields and see what they're reading and talking about and writing about. And Twitter is just a great place to follow professional organizations, publications, again, leaders in our field, colleagues, peers, people just down the hall. I find it interesting to hear what they're talking and thinking about as well.
Also great for kind of a conference back channel and a way to attend, quote unquote, a conference, or to hear what's going on in a conference that you might be part of or that you can't be part of, and have that sort of elevator or lobby talk in an informal way and keep up with what's happening in your field also. And you reminded us, Chad, during that all of these beyond networking things are not a replacement for keeping up with publications, keeping up with the literature in your field, but as a supplement to all of that.
Right, as a supplement that you need to use judiciously too. Like Jeff mentioned, he tries to scan information, and it sounds like you're setting things up to be pushed to you. So the information is coming to you, so you don't have to go out and look for it. But then you're going to have to come up with your own system to kind of filter and deal with all this information. I mean, you can't do everything.
Right. You can't read everything. You can't track everything. You can't stay on top, and you have to be okay with letting stuff sort of funnel off, or fall off the back, and be okay with not seeing and reading everything that you have access to.
And decide how much time you want to invest in all of these different things, and maybe be selective about what you're choosing and what you're consuming also. Another newish thing for social media would be Pinterest, which you recently got into, Chad.
I gave it a try and found that Pinterest can be a place to get lesson plan ideas. Mostly, though, it seems from my first look that it's K-12 type of lesson planning, not as much for higher ed. And so this could be an opportunity to, if you feel like you're ready to stake your claim and venture out, your field might not be on Pinterest yet. It might be a way for you to kind of create a voice, a professional voice for yourself in a new medium. But you might also want to decide, well, my field isn't here. I should probably go to where my field has activity, and it might not be the best place.
Great ideas, and thanks so much for contributing and being with us during the seminar and being with us today.